Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope your day and your week are going well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it means a lot to us. Got a nice little MLB slate on tonight. 5 picks to hand out that I'm pretty excited about. But first, before we hand out the picks for today's video, let's do a quick little recap of what happened yesterday. And look, it was not the best of days for us here. We went 2-3 yesterday, so not the most egregious of days, but still obviously a losing day at the end of the day. A couple good hits there with Zach Wheeler and Jorge Soler. Soler, of course, we missed it on Monday's video, but we did bounce back and get a hit there yesterday with Soler's under. But a couple misses on the right side you see there with Verdugo, Anderson, and Ramirez. So a tough loss for us yesterday. But the beautiful thing about life, and sorry if I keep clearing my throat, I am still a little bit sick. But the beautiful thing about life is that if you're fortunate enough, you get a next day, and you get a chance to make up for your mistakes from the day before. So, rough night yesterday. No worries, though. We're still 61-24. 61-42. I'd love to be 61-24. 61-42 record on the year so far with our props. So, we're still doing well. Let's move on to today's video, and let's keep the vibes going strong. All right, we'll jump right into the Outlier screen. Again, 5 picks for today's video. And, of course, this video today is brought to you by Outlier. They're the sponsor of every player prop video here on the channel. We do have a special link down below. In our description, you get a 7-day free trial. There's no risk at all. You try it for 7 days. You don't like it, you cancel. No cost to you at all. But I promise you guys, you're going to love Outlier. If you watch my videos before, you know what Outlier can do for you. If you're new here, if you don't know what Outlier can do, stick around, watch today's video. I can show you a little bit about what Outlier is. And there's a ton of videos on the channel we've already done that show how helpful Outlier can be. It really is the best sports betting tool on the market. So one more time, guys, 7-day free trial when you use our special link down below. All right, guys, for our first prop for today's slate, we're going to go ahead and target the Rockies-Twins game, 1:10 p.m. first pitch. Manuel Margot, we're going under half a strikeout for him. We're getting this on DraftKings for -140, but also available on BetMGM for -125. Slightly better odds. As always, guys, make sure to shop around for the best odds available. By the way, you guys see those horrible Twins City Connect jerseys they dropped yesterday? I don't know what Nike's doing with the City Connect. Nike, I have a love-hate relationship with them when it comes to sports jerseys. I think they've done a really great job in the NFL with a lot of the NFL jerseys, all the like modern throwbacks, the modern classics, I guess you would say. Like the Vikings just released new jerseys. Like the NFL side of things, Nike's been hitting home run after home run, but the NBA and specifically the MLB has kind of been a nightmare. I mean, the NBA has a couple good ones here and there, but every year New Jersey. But the MLB, the City Connects, I think there's only maybe like 5 or 6 out of all of them that have been released so far that I like. So the Twins won another bad one from Nike. They need some new people in there. Maybe Peter M. Rogers. You guys don't know who he is. He is a great graphic designer. Who does like jersey mock-ups and all kinds of stuff like that. He does like every time the Celtics win a game, designs a new jersey. Shout out to Peter M. Rogers. Great stuff he does. All right, no more distractions. Manuel Margot under half a strikeout here. The data is really good. You see 8 of his last 10 games, he has cashed his under. He's only struck out twice across his last 10 games. Even if we go ahead and stretch that data to the last 20 games here, it's pretty solid. 16 of his last 20 games, an 80% hit rate on the under. And so far in 2024, a 60% hit rate on the under. Only 31 times this year has he actually struck out in a game. So, which is pretty good. An average of 0.44 strikeouts per game. And if we go ahead and look at the head-to-head data, the 2 times he's faced off with Colorado in this series so far, he has failed to strike out. And if we go down below to the splits, we got a really good matchup here. You see, overall in the year, a 16.8% strikeout percentage for Manuel Margot, but versus left-handed pitchers, it gets even better. It goes to 13.8%, which is really good for us. You see green across the board here. His walk percentage increases, so really good data there for Margot. And versus Austin Gomber, I'm not terrible with names. I think it's Gomber. Austin Gomber, you see 17.2% strikeout percentage, which isn't very good. But versus right-handed batters, it's even worse at 16.6. So you have a pitcher with a very low strikeout percentage. You have a batter with a very low strikeout percentage. You put those together, what do you get? A really solid under bet. So I like the spot here for Margot. Again, for -125 on BetMGM, -140 for DraftKings. Not half bad. All right, guys, our second prop from today's slate, we're going with the Marlins-Mets game, 7:10 p.m. first pitch, the first of 2 plus money plays in today's video. We're going with Pete Alonso here, over 1.5 total bases. We're getting it for +130 on both FanDuel and DraftKings, also available on Caesars and Underdog for +120. Now, in the head-to-head data, you see the data is not the best in the world. Look at the head-to-head data, just a 47% hit rate versus the Marlins over the last 17 games, 8 of his last 17. He's averaging 2 total bases per game, but of course, a couple big games thrown in there. that kind of skew the data. So far this season, you see down below, he's played them 4 times this year. He's cashed in 2 out of 4 games versus the Marlins so far this season. So 50% hit rate so far this year. Overall, and again, on the season total, it kind of rings true also. Just shy of 50%, 49% season hit rate for Alonso, 32 out of 65 games he's cashed this over. But if we narrow the data down, it gets a little bit better. 60% hit rate over his last 20 games, 12 of his last 20, an average of 1.9 total bases per game. And even over his last 10 games, still a 60% hit rate. He has not cashed each of his last 2, which makes me think he's a little due here for a decent game. He actually hasn't had a hit each of his last 2 games. So Alonso's pretty much due here. And we go down below to the splits. Now, it's not fantastic, but there's a couple metrics that really excite me here. Now, there's a lot of experience here for Alonso when matching up with Braxton Garrett. So a lot of experience there versus Braxton Garrett. 20 plate appearances since 2018. You see a 389 batting average, really good. 450 OBP, a 722 slugging percentage, 7 hits, 13 total bases, 2 extra base hits. So he's had a lot of success off of Braxton Garrett dating back 2018. Now, this year so far, Alonso only batting 236, not fantastic. And versus left-handed pitchers is actually worse. It goes down to 215. But what we are focused on here is these numbers down here. ISO and extra base hit percentage, specifically extra base hit percentage. 50.8 on the year so far for Alonso, but versus left-handed pitchers, that takes a massive increase, 71.4%. Now, he's not hitting the ball a ton off of left-handed pitchers, but when he does hit the ball, he is crushing it. 71.4% extra base hit percentage. And on the bottom side, you see Braxton Garrett, 6.41 ERA versus right-handed batters, 5.81 overall. His batting average allowed does take a dip versus right-handed batters, but not a lot. 267 versus 256. Either way, it's pretty good. Slugging percentage, 397, pretty good, but the extra base hit percentage allowed, 35%, which is pretty high. So across the board, a really solid matchup here for Pete Alonso. He's had a great career versus Braxton Garrett thus far. I expect that to continue tonight. For plus money, for plus 130, yeah, I'm going to ride with those odds. All right, guys, our third prop from today's slate, we're going with all reliable. We're going Gleyber Torres here, over half a strikeout, minus 125 on DraftKings, minus 120 on BetMGM. We had this on Monday night. That obviously hit. Last night, we didn't take it, rightfully so, and he didn't strike out last night, but that just means it's a good spot to bet him tonight for a strikeout. The odds obviously dropping down a little bit. He had struck out in, it looks like, 6 consecutive games going into last night's game versus the Royals. It was a big win for the Yankees, but still, that is pretty good here. See Gleyber Torres this year, a 24.5% strikeout rate this year. It does drop a little bit versus right-handed pitchers, but 23.4% is still very high for Torres. And if we refer to the MLB dashboard, if you guys don't know what this is the MLB dashboard that Ev creates. It's for you become a member of Guy Boston Sports, you get full access to the dashboard. It's $2.99 a month. Really great tool here to pair with Outlier. And you see here now Dan Altavilla. Got that the second time. Dan Altavilla, very green, and that's because obviously he is green. He's a new pitcher, doesn't have a lot of numbers on the data, but in the little bit that we've seen from him so far, it looks okay. So not a lot of data to go off of there overall, but I do think that the data shows that Gleyber's a pretty solid spot here to bet the over. A 71% hit rate on this over all year long for minus 125. Again, that kind of data for odds like that, you got to go ahead and take that. All right, guys, in our fourth prop from today's slate, we're going to the Nationals-Tigers game, 6:40 p.m. first pitch. We're going Jake Irvin here, under 5.5 hits allowed, getting that for minus 120 on BetMGM, minus 120 on Underdog, minus 121 on Caesars, and minus 130 on DraftKings. An 85% hit rate on this under this year for Jake Irvin. He's having a really good year for the Natties, averaging 4.85 hits allowed per game per this season. Again, 85%, 11 of his last 13 games. He's cashed the under. So far in the head-to-head, the last time he faced off with the Detroit Tigers dating back to last season in May, he gave up 5 hits in what was an 8-6 win for the Tigers, but he still cashed the under there. And if we narrow the data down, his last 10 games, he's now cashed the under in 8 consecutive games this season. So really solid data in terms of the pattern, in terms of the trends there, even of his last 20 games. I mean, across the board, the data is fantastic here for Jake Irvin. If we go down below, it just gets better. You see Detroit's batting versus right-handed pitchers this year. They're bottom 10 offensively in terms of batting average, 228. Over the last 30 games, we do see they're slightly better, 237, but it's still bottom half of the league. The strikeout percentage on the year, bottom 5, 24.3%. So across the board, pretty solid metrics there. The Tigers are not necessarily as bad as, let's say, the White Sox are in terms of hitting, but or even like some of these other teams that we've seen in some of these videos, specifically I harp on Chicago because they are the worst offense in Major League Baseball. But they are bottom 10. They're one of the worst offenses in the league. So when you pair that with a pitcher who's been covering this line pretty consistently, I like the spot here for Jake Irvin. Minus 130, you can get it from minus 120 on some other sports books. It's a really solid prop. And guys, we just passed the 10-minute mark in today's video. So if you're still watching this far, thank you very much. Comment 10 down below. We really do appreciate it. It helps you commenting. It really helps the algorithm. It helps us get more views. It helps us get more people here watching the channel. So really do appreciate that if you guys could go ahead and comment 10 down below if you're still watching. As always, the link for the picks will be in the description down below. All right, guys, let's move on now to the fifth and final prop of today's slate. And for our fifth and final prop today, guys, we have one more plus money play, like promised. We got Corey Seager in the Rangers-Dodgers game, 10:10 p.m. first pitch. We're going Corey Seager over 1.5 bases here, getting it for plus 115 on DraftKings. Also available on Caesars for plus 112, Underdog plus 101, and all the FanDuel people asking for FanDuel picks, you got one. FanDuel minus 105 there for Corey Seager. Looking at the last 20 games, 60% hit rate over his last 20 games. That's 12 of his last 20. Averaging 2.65 total bases per game, which is pretty good. If we narrow that down to the last 10, still pretty good. 60% hit rate, average of 2.7 total bases per game. So far in 2024, just a 44% hit rate on the over, but he is averaging 1.81 total bases per game. And of late, you do see a lot more green there for Corey Seager. And we look at the head-to-head data here. They played, obviously, the last time they played, I should say, in July of last season, he had 6 total bases and what was 11-5 win for the Dodgers. So not a ton to go off there in terms of head-to-head data, but there is something to look at. Go down below to the splits here, and Corey Seager batting .271 this year overall, but versus right-handed pitchers, that does increase to .284, which we like to see. His ISO increases to .246. His BABIP does drop from .282 to .262, which isn't the best, but it's not too bad. And his extra base hit percentage goes from 30.5% to 34.2. So pretty good there. And looking at Walker Buehler's numbers, a 4.82 ERA this year with a 2.92 batting average allowed. Not very good. 5.31 slugging percentage, 36.4% extra base hit percentage. So not good to begin with. And it gets even worse versus left-handed batters. His ERA does slightly improve, but his batting average allowed takes a significant jump to 3.73. Smaller sample size, of course, only 62 batters faced this year versus left-handed batters, but it is still relevant. His slugging percentage increases to 6.27. Pretty significant jump there. And his extra base hit percentage remains at 36.4%. So solid matchup here for Corey Seager. I think it's a really good spot for plus money when the data is pretty solid. The splits are good. The matchup seems to be ideal. For plus money, I'll absolutely go ahead and take that. And so, guys, this is our slate for today. There's all 5 picks from today's slate, I should say. Apologies. I know I'm still a little sick, still a little under the weather. So if, my vibe's a little bit off, I do apologize for that. I am still battling this cold. Almost done. Almost over it, but still, it nicked me. It nicked me. But here we go. Here's all 5 picks from today's slate. Again, you click that link down below. It's very simple. You click the link. It takes you right to this page, and it shows you where all the picks are available. The 2 FanDuel picks in today's video. All 5 are available on DraftKings and Caesars and BetMGM, Underdog. A few picks are available across those sportsbooks. So, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Until tomorrow, I'll be back with another MLB Player Prop video. Until then, I hope we're all winners, guys. Have a good one.